Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show. The medical marijuana for you and me. Ah, yeah, the medical marijuana. Whoa, 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 yeah, the medical. It's the medical marijuana show. You will know. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Hey, boy, don't feel my world untrue. Yeah, I want to talk to you. My world can be true if you do what I tell you to. I want to talk to you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Medical Marijuana Radio for Saturday, the 25th of January, 2013. I'm your host, Larry Love, and we're live right now on the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. And tonight we will have a guest. We're going to have Corinne from Wake and Bake Cookbook, and we're going to talk about recipes and how to make your butter and or your infused product in order to make your food. So we'll do that at after the first break at about 20-something after the hour. But first, right here in New Mexico, every Saturday we give you the strain report. And if you're going to try to find the strains that you want and need, you need to shop around.
You better shop around. Oh yeah, you better shop around. Shop around.
That's right. And here in Albuquerque at Cannabis this week, they're going to have Royal Moby, Shit, Super Lemon Haze, Blues, Critical Jack, and Fruit Spirit. That's at Cannabis. Over at CG Corrigan, OG 18, and then they have an OG 18 Sour Chem Cross. That sounds interesting. Grand Platinum, Blue Dream, Jack Frost, Cinderella 99, A Toda Madre, and Canatonic. The last two are high CBD strains. Over at MedZen, they're going to have Jilly Bean, ATF, ESD, Bubba Kush, Blue Goo, Bubble Jack, Trainwreck, Wiley Skunk, or maybe that's Willie Skunk, AK-47, Critical, and Kahuna Shark. That's at MedZen. Over at Minerva, HB Blend, ATF, Black Dahlia, Blue Dream, Canatonic, Chemdog, Dub Herps, Hog, Mango Kush, Maui Wowie, Sour Diesel, and Vanilla Kush. Again, that's at Minerva. At New Mexican, they have Blue Dream, Super Silver Haze, Trainwreck, G13 Haze, LA Confidential, UBC Chemo, Blue Moon, Mazar, CBD AK-47, and CBD Canatonic. They also have Alastin Thunderfuck from CG Corrigan. It was produced by them but available at New Mexican. They also have Popcorn Bud of Super Silver Haze, Trainwreck, and CBD Shark Shock. An eighth is $32. And that, again, is New Mexican in Santa Fe. Also in Santa Fe, New Mexico Top Organics. They will have White Widow and Blue Dream as their buds. And for your BHO, they will have Banana Kush, Blue Dream, RX, White Fire, and White Widow. So that's the strain report. And now just a little bit of news. 1, 2, 3.
I've got news for you.
Okay, we have some news for you. We're going to read you a couple things first, then we have some clips to play for you. And this one I just found about 20 minutes ago, and it really makes me upset. But what's happening right now, I see, is that my my computer is frozen a little bit. Okay, we got it back. Sheriffs cheer the pot shot, says DEA. The DA chief ripped Obama's remarks. So Obama came out earlier in the week and talked about, made his comments about marijuana. And this article is from the Boston Herald. DEA Chief Michelle M. Lionheart slammed President Obama's recent comments comparing smoking marijuana to drinking alcohol at an annual meeting of the nation's sheriffs this week, according to two sheriffs who said her remarks drew a standing ovation. Bristol County Sheriff Thomas M. Hodgson said that he was thrilled to hear the head of the DEA take her boss to task. She's frustrated for the same reasons that we are, said Hodgson. She said that she felt the administration didn't understand the science enough to make those statements. Okay, so the head of the DEA thinks that the president didn't understand the science enough, which is totally amazing to me. But she said her lowest point in 33 years in the DEA was when she learned that they had flown a hemp flag over the Capitol on July 4th. The sheriffs were all shocked. This was the first time in 28 years I've ever heard anyone in her position be this candid. The American flag made of hemp was reportedly flown over the Capitol on Independence Day with the backing of a Colorado congressman. DEA spokeswoman, okay, I have some problems here for some reason. Anyway, what has happened is the Michelle Lionheart, who's the head of the DEA, is just made outrageous remarks, basically saying that the chief executive did the wrong thing by not looking at the science and saying that alcohol is not as dangerous as marijuana. So this is all a bunch of bullshit. It says here that this is about Michelle Lionheart. She has spent 33 years of her life fighting drug abuse in the DEA. To have the President of the United States publicly say marijuana was a bad habit like alcohol was appalling to everyone in that room. Anyway, they gave her a standing ovation. I don't think she should have criticized her boss, who is the one that pays her and hired her, even though her original boss was, I believe, George Bush. So she's been around for a while. Not good. Not good. Now, another terrible thing happened. I'll have to paraphrase it because I'm having trouble with my browser. But basically, two sisters were leaving Colorado, and they got stopped in Kansas. They're pulled over for speeding, and the sheriff smelled marijuana. Checked out the car. They found about 32 grams of marijuana that I guess they bought in Colorado. Legally they bought it there, but they did leave the state. But what happened afterwards was just horrendous, and that is one of the two sisters died. They were both, I believe, in their 50s. They were put in jail. They were in jail for a couple of days. They didn't let them make a phone call. They wouldn't let this one woman who said she wasn't feeling well. They wouldn't let her have her medication, which, her pharmaceuticals for a few diseases that she was, afflicted with, and she died. Okay, so this is an amazing thing. This is out of Wichita, Kansas, and we will have to keep our eyes on this. So this is definitely a marijuana-related death, but it's really a prohibition-related death because prohibition and these asshole cops in Wichita, Kansas, is what killed this woman, and we'll keep you up to date on that. So now let's move on to an interesting judgment here in New Mexico in regards to aerial surveillance. And a judge here said without a warrant, it's unconstitutional. This is New Mexico.
A groundbreaking court ruling after a man was arrested for growing marijuana in his backyard.
Action 7 News reporter Laura Train tells us what will change when it comes to police investigations new at 10.
A court has ruled police searches from the sky are illegal and unconstitutional unless investigators have a warrant. The story stems from a case in 2006 when state police got a tip that a man in Taos County was growing marijuana in his backyard. When the leafy greens couldn't be seen from the street, investigators launched a chopper to look for the pot from above, dubbing the plan Operation Yerba Buena. Norman Davis, who lived in the home, told our partners at the Journal that he heard this helicopter overhead. It was loud, very loud, and it was also a violation of the U.S. and state constitutions, which prohibit unreasonable searches and seizures, according to the judge who ruled on the case. An attorney who practices constitutional law calls this judge's opinion huge because it essentially says that New Mexico's constitution can protect you more than the U.S. Constitution.
Our Constitution, our law, offers greater protection than the U.S. Constitution. What the court seems to be saying is that, you have an expectation that the police are not going to be surveilling your house.
Davis was arrested for possession of marijuana, but his record was later cleared. The 78-year-old says he's happy that justice was served. In Albuquerque, Laura Terrain, KOAT, Action 7 News.
We called state police to comment on the case, but we did not hear back.
So that's good news. A few months ago this summer, we had a woman from Taos on our show who was a medical marijuana patient, and they had to fly over to DEA, and the DEA sent some cars over there, 3 of them. And even though she was in the program, they took her plants and ripped them up. And I think that that particular ruling might help her because obviously if a judge ruled it was unconstitutional, then it's unconstitutional. Over in Arizona, they are gearing up to talk about legalization. And some of the state lawmakers took a tour of a large grow in Arizona. And this is what they were seeing. Well, you can't see it, but this is what they were talking about. Arizona state lawmakers.
Well, there's no doubt about it. It is a growing movement across the U.S., the legalization of marijuana.
Yeah, voters in Colorado and Washington state, they've already had their say, and it's yes. And voters in several other states may soon follow suit.
But here in Arizona, voters decided that patients in our state should have access to medical marijuana. And today, a group of state lawmakers who are pushing for full legalization, they got a firsthand look at the medical marijuana movement, and our cameras were there. It's a massive operation involving hundreds of marijuana plants, all growing inside this 59,000 square foot facility in Phoenix.
This isn't just somebody growing marijuana in their basement.
Inside this giant grow op sits most of the medical marijuana sold to patients here in the valley. It's run by Arizona Natural Selections. And today, Representative Ruben Gallego, along with several other Arizona lawmakers, are getting a close-up look at how it all works.
It's a very professionally run industry. And if you had not told me that this was a marijuana plant, I would have told you it's a regular kind of industrial farm.
This farm serves a purpose for the thousands of Arizona medical marijuana patients, including 5-year-old Reese. She was diagnosed with Aicardi syndrome, a rare neurological disorder that causes her to have more than 24 seizures a day. But thanks to medical cannabis, those symptoms are greatly reduced. And that's good news to Reese's dad, J.P. Holyoke, who just happens to run the dispensary.
This is who we do it for. For her, people like her. We see them in our dispensaries all the time. They're not young men with chronic pain. They're real people. They have real debilitating conditions.
Representative Gallego says this type of operation clearly shows that the state's medical marijuana program is working. And he says one day he'd like to see Arizona decriminalize small amounts of marijuana and maybe even legalize it altogether.
We know who is growing marijuana, we know who is selling marijuana, and we know who's buying marijuana. So that way we are basically taking out the black market.
But until then, Holyoke says helping patients, just like his daughter, is what this is all about.
Well, let's just say she's doing awfully well. Yeah, you are.
Representative Gallego and other Democrats introduced a bill this week to decriminalize the possession of pot. Meantime, a group called Safer Arizona is still trying to gather enough signatures to put the issue of legalizing marijuana on the ballot later this year.
So again, making some headway in Arizona. They still, getting their medical program going, but they did, I think, saw some amazing amount of money that I think was in the 30 million area that the dispensaries took in their first year there. So now, one more before the break. I have one more cut from the Moron channel. Some very brilliant person took Nancy Grace's comments when she's talked about marijuana a few different times, and she's debating herself. Okay, so this is Nancy Grace debates Nancy Grace. Of course, I call her Nancy Disgrace because she is.
The judge allows in evidence that Trayvon Martin did have marijuana in his system at the time he died. What difference, if any, does that make? Because I've seen too many felonies, and I don't mean pot sales or growing pot like this guy up in Connecticut. To me, it means that he is less likely to pick a fight with someone. I mean, people on pot shoot each other. Isn't it true that when you smoke pot, you just want to lay on the sofa and eat? People on pot kill families, wipe out a whole family. The common connotation pot goes with lethargy, with the munchies, with wanting to eat, with being laid back, not with chasing somebody down, jumping out from behind bushes, beating them in the head till they're pulpy, and basically starting mortal combat. That's not what you typically equate with smoking a doobie. I've got to be drinking booze, or I've got to be smoking, or I've got to be high on pot.
So anyway, she's so contradictory and she's so not of this century. It's really sad. Someday she will be hanging her head in shame, and so will Patrick Kennedy and Kevin Sabet and all these people that are just not, they don't have their eyes or their hearts or their minds open. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
It's all about the 420 MMJ Radio.
Hi, as you know, over the next few years, the cannabis industry is going to explode into a multi-million-dollar industry. 420webdesign.com is your affordable design provider. 420 Web Design prides themselves on fair prices and a grounded staff. They listen to their ganjapreneurs' website needs. Getting into the marijuana industry doesn't need to break your bank. Our sites come with tons of features. Just a few of them include responsive designs for mobile viewers, easy to update platforms, built-in SEO and SMO tools, enterprise-level security, video tutorials, database backups, Google Maps, onboard analytics, and much more. This is backed by a decade of website design and development experience. For all of your 420 web design needs, go to 420webdesign.com. Again, 420webdesign.com. Check them out.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Hi, this is Larry Love from Medical Marijuana Radio. Please listen to this important information about a great device by MagicalButter.com to make your oils, tinctures, and butter.
Magical Butter is a device with a microprocessor-controlled program sequence designed by a scientist and a chemist to precisely extract the benefits of various herbs. We believe in herbal remedies and using pharmaceutical pills only when medically necessary. Our device is simple to use. Combine herbs with butter or oil, press a button, and walk away. Magical Butter does everything else. It grinds, heats, and stirs. Please browse our site to discover how to eat the treat. Thank you for your support, and have a magical day.
Again, for your tinctures, butter, and oils, that's MagicalButter.com. This is a great appliance. Use coupon code LOVE to get $20 off.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show.
Okay, we're back. We're going to hook in Corinne right now to our show. Here we go.
Hello.
Hi, Corinne. This is Larry Love from Medical Marijuana Radio. Welcome. You're live right now on the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Larry. I'm so excited to be on your show.
I am too. I've been waiting a couple of years to actually do a cooking show, so to speak, and I'm very excited about this. I'm not much of a baker myself. I've tried recently, and so tell us. You are the author of Wake and Bake, which is a cookbook, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm the author of Wake and Bake. I, too, was not much of a baker before I started the book, and so it's all very simple. It's made for home cooks and beginner bakers.
Okay, so when we're baking medicine, which most of us in this country are using cannabis as medicine, but your state of Colorado, being pioneers in Washington State, now have recreational. Do you think there's anything different about baking recreational bakes than medicinal? Or are they both going to be the same?
I see them as the same thing. All the recipes in the cookbook are dairy-free and gluten-free, and most of them are vegan. I really think that everything we do should be healthful and fun. So I really wanted to marry those two things together. So whether you're using it recreationally or you're baking for medicine, it's going to support whatever you want to do with your baked goods.
Sure. Now, there's some regulations that just came out this week in Colorado. Tell me, how do they affect you with your edibles?
I'm not sure. I've loved listening to your show for the past half an hour. I feel so much more informed, and I really should do it on a more regular basis. I kind of see my role in this whole thing as more of a kind of cultural ambassador. I really feel like I want to break the stigma. That the Nancy Grace clip was perfect, because I believe that most of us who do consume marijuana aren't lazy, lethargic stoners. And so I kind of really wanted that to shine through. I don't really know much about the political side of things. I try to stay as up to date as possible. So if you want to fill me in, I can let you know.
Well, I haven't read all of the rules yet, but I guess if you are have a company that bakes for dispensaries, there's all kinds of testing and rules and regulations. They can't have over X amount of milligrams of THC, in one particular product. So I'll have somebody come on maybe next week who is versed at that, or maybe I'll verse myself and read that stuff up. But I guess for personal use, which is what I believe your book is probably catered to. So let's start off. The first thing you need is you need to infuse something in order to put it into your edibles. So tell us what you recommend as far as infusions.
Well, in this book in particular, since I was doing baked goods, I did only I based it all off of this oil I call the Green Monster oil, which is a coconut oil infused with cannabis. It's a very, very simple process, and when I was doing research for the book, I just kept finding so much conflicting information and things that made it really complicated. And I just dove right in and started experimenting with a couple of different oils. And it was by far my favorite. And it's very simple. You take a 1-to-1 amount, so if you have a cup of trim or cannabis, you use a cup of coconut oil, maybe a little bit more to cover it, depending on if you're using full nugs. And then you let it steep, and you can let it steep for an hour to 4 hours. I wouldn't recommend doing any longer than that because it's harder to keep temperature control.
Right.
But it's very simple, and then you can start using it. You let it cool, and then you put it in whatever. I like to test mine on a piece of toast or something along those lines to just make sure that the potency is where I want it to be at, when I start adding it to other things.
Sure. Okay. Well, slow down for 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about your infusion. Okay. So you're taking 16 ounces of coconut oil, and I guess you're putting it into into what, a crock pot?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I use a crock pot. My crock pot is pretty hot on warm, so I generally use it on warm. It's just making sure that it doesn't ever reach a smoke point. So if it starts smoking, just turn it down and let it cool down for a little bit before turning the heat back on.
Right. So again, you said that, and of course, this is what I've always known myself, is that making butter or coconut oil, it's a 1-to-1 ratio is a standard infusion. However, if you do want to make a stronger infusion, I've sometimes, gone to like let's say 1.5 ounces of cannabis to 1 pound of butter or to 1 pound of coconut oil to make it a little stronger. So, so that's one way of doing it. So the cannabis, of course, you clean up, you get the any little stems out and so forth. And do you break it up a little bit before you put it into the crock pot with the coconut oil?
Yeah, I do. I don't. Some people recommend running it through a grinder. I don't personally do that. I think it makes it a little harder to strain, and I generally use fresh prunings. So when we have our new baby nugs that we have to prune off, I use that, or I use trim after harvest season. I save up the trim. So if you're using nugs, I would remove the stems and break it up a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
So so again, you're combining the coconut oil. Or butter, if people want to use butter, with the cannabis in a crock pot, and of course, are you're covering that with water as well, or just the coconut oil?
No, I don't. I haven't had the best luck with using water as well. I know that if you're trying to put a lot of material into the coconut oil, that you have to add water to it. I generally prefer the 1-to-1 ratio. I think it's better for flavor and texture. So no, I don't really add water, but I know it's possible.
Okay, so again, how many hours are you letting that steep in the crock pot?
About 1 to 4. So it really depends on the flavor, I think, of your cannabis. It's a personal thing. The cannabis that I used is our homegrown organic, and I think it tastes fantastic. So I like there to be a lot of flavor in it. I know that there are other people who tend to want to cover up that flavor. They just don't prefer it. So you can use less time to get less of that weedy flavor if you're using a lower quality cannabis, if it's what you have available.
Sure. So what is
a little less time.
So when you're saying, Corinne, 1 to 4 hours, that's a pretty wide open.
It is, yeah.
What's the difference between a 1 hour infusion and a 4 hour infusion? Is there much difference?
I don't think in potency there's much difference. I really only noticed in the flavor. I think it tastes lighter, I guess is the way that I would describe it. But I like my stuff I like it to taste a little bit, I don't know, what is the word? Is there a word for that?
Well, you want to, I guess.
Marijuana-y.
Yeah, marijuana-y, yeah, or marijuana-ish.
Yeah, marijuana-y.
or,
yeah, I like that.
Well, listen, I know that I'm starting to come on. I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but if after half an hour I have a little burp and you can taste that cannabis in there, you know that things are starting to happen. You familiar with that sensation?
I am familiar with that. Obviously, I did this pretty solid for about 2 months, So I'm familiar with pretty every sensation that comes from edibles, from too much to not really feeling it to marijuana burps. Yes, I've definitely experienced that as well.
So, all right. So let's get back to the infusion, and then we'll start talking about cooking. Now, after let's say 4 hours, I mean, I tend to let mine go longer because I'm hoping that it's really getting all the trichomes and all the good stuff out of there. So I sometimes lean to the longer side. So let's talk about now removing the cannabis itself from the coconut oil, about straining it out. What's your method?
Well, my method, I use a piece of cheesecloth inside of a strainer, generally kind of a smaller strainer, and I just run it through, put a jar beneath the strainer and the cheesecloth, and I strain it through and let it separate, and then I save that cheesecloth with the leftover plant material in it, and I make a chai tea with that. I make some kind of tea with it because it's nice to extract the rest of the oil, and chai is a nice fatty drink. So
okay, so we'll talk about the tea again in a second because I'm interested in that. So you've separated the leaf matter, and I'm assuming you squeeze it out and turn it and squeeze it out so that you get all the good stuff. That last stuff that you squeeze out of this, I think, has a lot of medicine or a lot of THC, whatever, in it. So now, next step, right into the refrigerator?
I let it chill for a little while until it reaches room temperature, and then I put it in the refrigerator.
Okay. And is there any, I mean, you're not using water in there, but so is there any residual, or is it just solid coconut oil when you're finished?
It's solid coconut oil. It's this really great, like, neon green color that is, it just pops. And it's, so it's just coconut oil and marijuana.
Okay. And so, is there any loss? Have you weighed it after, you're putting 16 ounces of coconut oil in and you've cooked it for 3 or 4 hours and you've strained it and so forth. Have you weighed it after that to see what kind of weight is left and what might be lost going, evaporating?
I haven't. That's really interesting. I've never really thought to do that, but I have not.
I've seen some loss when making butter, so you have to take that in consideration because 16 ounces of coconut oil, I guess, is equivalent to 4 sticks of butter, right? It'd be the same thing as a pound. So
yes.
All right. So after you've let it sort of cool off, it then goes into the refrigerator for later use, unless you're, of course, baking something right now. So before we get into baking something, since you did mention making a tea out of what the leftovers were, tell me about that because I think that's fascinating. How does the cannabinoids get into water? Because they're not soluble, in water.
Well, like you said, there's a lot of that good stuff still left in the bag, and you try to squeeze as much of it as you can out, but sometimes there's still oil left in the bag. So I make a tea, put, cloves and pretty much whatever I have in the kitchen. If I have some cinnamon sticks, and then I simmer that tea for, I don't know, I'd say about 20 minutes, and then I add some coconut milk and some honey into it, and it's outstanding. It's my favorite thing to have on hand when anybody comes by. It's like really warming but very exotic. The flavors blend really well together with cannabis.
So are you're leaving the cannabis in the cheesecloth and you're like tying it up or something, right? And then you're steeping that.
Yeah.
Okay. So and you get a pretty good buzz on that?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, that's actually it was one of the first things. I was on an artist in residency program, and it was one of the first things that I gave to my roommates, and it was a very interesting night. And I've been making it a lot since, and you have to drink it right away. If you refrigerate it, the oil will separate and go to the top. So it's definitely one of those great things that right after you've made some oil and maybe you're not ready to bake yet because your oil is settling, you have some tea to just chill out on after your hard work and making oil.
That sounds really cool. I'm definitely going to try that. I'm actually going to be making some butter tomorrow.
Awesome.
In this case, so I'm going to save those remnants and try that because that sounds fantastic. We have a couple minutes left before we take our next break. Do you have a simple recipe? Let's just go for a simple recipe that, and then we'll come back and we'll get into some other stuff after the break. What would you like to talk about? Do you have like a simple cookie recipe or something?
Oh, simple. Let's see. I think I was more fascinated in making this book with when I found out that you can add it to liquids and you could drink it. I was just so astounded with how much more versatile things got.
Yes, I am as well. And it's a big business.
Yeah.
It's certainly a big business in Colorado with Dixie Elixirs. And so, why not make your own? So how would you infuse some drinks?
Well, okay, so I really love, I made some, I call them hippie shakes, and they're these vegan milkshakes made with coconut ice cream. And basically, I heat up, I melt the coconut oil, the green monster oil, the infused oil, and then I add like a scoop of ice cream to the blender, half a cup of nut milk, coconut milk, or almond milk, and then some cookie crumbles or cocoa powder. And then after blending all of that together, I drizzle the melted oil in. And if you drink it right away, it won't separate, and it's so tasty. Sometimes I do vanilla with mint. I call that the Dr. Bronner's hippie shake.
I like it. I've been using Dr. Bronner's soap since the early '70s, so I'm a big fan of that company. So, so if are you making like let's say you're making a single dose of a milkshake. How much coconut? See, dosing is really, really important in our industry. So how much coconut infused oil would you be putting into, let's say, one serving of a milkshake into that blender?
Right. I think dosing is really interesting, especially when you're talking about personal home use. I really think it's something that you have to fine tune yourself, and I don't necessarily really like to give out a dose. But what we use in the book, what I use in the book is a tablespoon of the green monster oil in each serving. So I call them stony servings, and it gives you kind of an idea. But if you try your oil and a teaspoon is potent enough for you, or if you need a tablespoon and a half, you can just adjust the recipe from there. Okay, and
now do your infusions into the oil, have you found that they vary depending upon how fresh your trimmer bud is, or there's obviously the strength of that particular strain? So do you do any adjusting when you know the cannabis is like super strong, or do you just let it fly?
I do, yeah. No, I do some adjusting because I don't want to knock anybody out, and especially since I've had a lot of different taste testers, people who some people hadn't used cannabis in a long time, and some people were daily users. So I wanted to make sure that I had kind of a steady baseline to be able to say, this is how strong this is going to be. I generally, instead of like tweaking how much I'd put in, I just adjust the amount of regular coconut oil, because you can add regular coconut oil to your recipes. So if the oil itself is very strong, and when I tried it by itself, if it was stronger than a tablespoon, or stronger than the
average,
regular serving.
The average, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? We're going to take a break right now. Okay, we're up on the 38-minute mark, and we'll be right back, and we'll finish up our conversation about what we were just talking about and some other stuff as well with Corinne from Wake and Bake Cookbook. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. I'm going to put you on hold.
Okay, great. Thank you.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is HEMP.org.
Hi, this is Larry Love from Medical Marijuana Radio. Please listen to this important information about a great device by magicalbutter.com to make your oils, tinctures, and butter.
Magical Butter is a device with a microprocessor-controlled program sequence designed by a scientist and a chemist to precisely extract the benefits of various herbs. We believe in herbal remedies and using pharmaceutical pills only when medically necessary. Our device is simple to use. Combine herbs with butter or oil, press a button, and walk away. Magical Butter does everything else. It grinds, heats, and stirs. Please browse our site to discover how to eat the treat. Thank you for your support, and have a magical day.
Again, for your tinctures, butter, and oils, that's magicalbutter.com. This is a great appliance. Use coupon code LOVE to get $20 off.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Hi, as you know, over the next few years, the cannabis industry is going to explode into a multi-million-dollar industry. 420webdesign.com is your affordable design provider. 420 Web Design prides themselves on fair prices and a grounded staff. They listen to their ganjapreneurs' website needs. Getting into the marijuana industry doesn't need to break your bank. Our sites come with tons of features. Just a few of them include responsive designs for mobile viewers, easy to update platforms, built-in SEO and SMO tools, enterprise-level security, video tutorials, database backups, Google Maps, onboard analytics, and much more. This is backed by a decade of website design and development experience. For all of your 420 web design needs, go to 420webdesign.com. Again, 420webdesign.com. Check them out.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio show.
Hi, this is Steve D'Angelo, and you are listening to Medical Marijuana Radio.
Okay, we're back. I'm going to get Corinne back on the line here. Hi, Corinne. We're back live. We got you?
Yep. Oh, I'm here.
Oh, cool. I want to give out the numbers in case anybody would like to call in and ask a question of you or me. In Arizona, it's 623-399-4MMJ. Here in New Mexico, 505-514-0098 and 575-519-4MMJ. California, 818-8500-MMJ. And, of course, you can Skype us at MMJRadio. Now, we just did a commercial for Magical Butter. Have you seen that device? It's one of our sponsors. Besides a crock pot, you can make coconut oil infusions in that as well. Have you ever seen that one? It's a really nice appliance.
I have. Oh, it's on my Christmas list. For sure, I have.
Cool. Yeah, these guys are really great people. They also put up some money to help a family move to Colorado for treatment of a young child with Dravet syndrome. So they're pretty incredible people. So anybody out there, if you'd like to call in, you can talk to Corinne or myself. And okay, so we talked about making the tea from the leftover cannabis. We talked about infusing drinks. So, but I don't think we finished that. So, well, we sort of finished it. I mean, you're talking about making a milkshake and then making tea. Mm-hmm. Have you ever infused drinks that are like already made, just infusing some other product?
No, I haven't actually. No, I can't think of any time that I have. I do a green smoothie as well. We were talking about using things for medicinal reasons, and it's probably the healthiest thing in the whole book because there's definitely sugar in baked goods, and I couldn't avoid that. But I did a green smoothie recipe, and it's basically the same thing. It's just kale and apple, and you blend that up with a little lemon juice. And then you add the green monster oil or the infused coconut oil the same way. So you drizzle that in.
So basically, when you're making infused marijuana products, you just substitute in the recipe. If you're following a box recipe or a recipe out of your cookbook or any kind of cookbook, you're substituting for the oil. So if a cookbook, a recipe calls for a stick of butter, then you're talking about 4 ounces of coconut oil, right?
Yes. It's an equivalent. Yes.
Okay. So how about? I mean, everybody likes cookies. So you have a good, healthy cookie recipe that you'd like to share with us today. And of course, before we share that recipe, tell us right now, and we'll repeat it again later, how people can get your book, Wake and Bake.
Oh, they can visit the website at www.wakeandbakecookbook.com.
Okay, and you have a Facebook page as well?
I do, yes. It's facebook.com/wakeandbake cookbook /wakeandbake cookbook.
Very, very cool. So how about, did you prepare any other type of recipes that you wanted to talk about today?
Oh, let's see. Now I'm looking for a cookie one. I have to look through my own cookbook. Isn't that silly? So hard to find it. Well, I guess my favorite are the snickerdoodles because I'm a Midwesterner at heart, and they're really quite simple. They're in the cookbook, and I'll also have a blog post up sometime soon with these because I love them. And they're basically. Should I list it, or is there some place that I can share it with you and you could post it? Because it's kind of hard to...
Well, I'll tell you what. How about you post it on your Facebook page, and we can get people to go there and take a look at it and see what else you're all about.
Will do. Okay, so you can come see the snickerdoodle recipe at facebook.com/wakeandbakecookbook.
And Corinne will put that up sometime later after the show, I guess. So let's see, what else about cooking? Let me ask you something. Have you ever made an extraction too strong to where you were really too high after trying it?
I think I don't say that the extraction was too much. I think I taste tested too much. So there's definitely,
Okay.
It's really, I always say make another batch, make a batch that doesn't have any cannabis in it. Because, if you have one cookie and that's what your serving is, and then you want more cookies, it can get to be a dangerous place.
Well, you see that is a syndrome that happens quite often. What happens is, everybody's body is different. Okay, it takes, for me personally, it takes me at least 2 hours, if not a little bit more, before I ever start feeling anything from an edible. Okay. So I know I worked. You don't know this, but my listeners probably do. I worked at a dispensary for 2 years, and I canna counseled a lot of people, and people that aren't familiar with edibles, you have to start them off very, very slowly, because if you have a bad experience that first time, you will never go back to that again. And I mean, look, I've been around this plant for over 45 years. And I've got a little bit of experience, but I've tasted edibles or taken a capsule that has been so strong that I've said to myself, I am never going to eat one of these things again. But of course, I do. And actually, recently I've found that eating a little piece of a cookie before I go to bed is helping me sleep through the night. So I'm sort of a new person to using edibles in that way. So let's see, where was I where was I going with that? So anyway, I always advise people, if they're starting off for the first time, and everybody out there, listeners, please, when you buy Corinne's book, Wake and Bake, if you're not real knowledgeable and experienced with edibles, I would suggest taking a half a dose first, like a half a cookie or whatever it is, because you don't know how you're going to react to it if it's your first time. If people have been around it for a while, then then go for it. Do you agree, Corinne?
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah, and you mentioned it for sleeping, and that's one of the things that I find it best for. Or if I'm having a very, very hard time relaxing, I can, because I can tend to be uptight. But it's a knockout kind of thing. I wouldn't say that edibles are the best thing to do if you want to, slam dunk your day. I personally think that they're much better for the winding down.
Oh, absolutely. But there are people. I have a friend with Parkinson's, and he takes a little pinch of a cookie every 2 or 3 hours and gets through his day that way, and it helps his Parkinson's symptoms. And there are other people that dose themselves that way medicinally. And of course, Corinne's book is not just a medicinal book. It's a cookbook for anyone that wants to use marijuana infused edibles. So right now, you're so lucky to be in Colorado. Have you been to a dispensary since legalization?
Yeah. I haven't been to a recreational dispensary. I live down in Durango, Colorado, which is in the Southwest, and we go recreational in July. So there's a nice little stagger for us.
What city are you in?
So I will I'm in Durango, Colorado.
Oh, you're in Durango, and so they.
I am, yeah.
So you don't have a dispensary yet, or you do?
No, we don't have any recreational dispensaries. I've been to some of the medicinal dispensaries talking about the book, but not until July 1st, and that'll be a very exciting day.
Yes, I watched television on the 1st of January with all the news reports about the dispensaries opening up for anyone all over the world over 21 can go in and buy marijuana and their products and other types of not just bud, but obviously edibles and ice cream, and there's all kinds of stuff there. So it was just fascinating to watch that. I've waited 45 years to feel that excitement, and I'm just really happy that the people of Colorado have decided that to have the balls to go out there, and they passed it last year, and they've written just great rules, and they got it started on time, and so far no problems. That I'm aware of, so I'm just very excited about that. So, Corinne, one more time, give out your website, your Facebook, and maybe an email if somebody wants to write you.
Yes, the website is www.wakeandbakecookbook.com. The Facebook is facebook.com/wakeandbakecookbook, and the email address you can reach me at is wakeandbakecookbook@gmail.com.
Okay, well, Corinne, thank you very much. And people, go to her Facebook page, and she'll have that recipe up there. What was the recipe for again?
Snickerdoodles.
Snickerdoodles, yes. Snickerdoodles, fantastic. Anything else you want to say that you forgot to say while we were talking?
No, thank you so much, Larry, for having me on. This has been wonderful.
My pleasure. You take care of yourself. Is your book available as an ebook as well, or just as a printed book?
Yes, it's available for an ebook through Amazon, and they can find out all the ways to purchase it on the website.
And how much is your ebook?
The ebook is $9.99.
And your book on Amazon?
The book, when it's listed on Amazon, I think they've given it a discount to $25.99, and on the website directly, it's signed and it's $28.99.
Fantastic. Corinne, thank you from Wake and Bake, the cookbook. And if you have any more products in the future that you're working on, give us a call. We'll be glad to talk to you about that. Thanks so much, Corinne.
Will do.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay, that was a great interview. And I also just want to let everybody know that, especially here in New Mexico, Senator Jerry Ortiz Pino has a resolution that he's presenting to the legislature to legalize cannabis here for recreational adult use here in New Mexico. So I've been down to the Roundhouse, and I'm going to spend some more time down there trying to talk to the people, the legislators. You can go to legalizenm.org. That's legalizenm.org, and there's a petition up there. And if you sign that petition just by filling out your name and email address, a letter that you can read first goes out to every legislator down at the Capitol, telling them that you support legalization of cannabis in New Mexico, and you are letting your legislators know that you hope that they will support it as well. It has been said that about $19 to $21 million worth of tax revenue can benefit this state of New Mexico, and they would also save about $33 million in law enforcement prosecuting possession and people for cannabis. So go to legalizenm.org, legalizenm.org, and we'll be right back to close out the show. We'll be right back to close out the show. Yes, we will.
The medical marijuana. The medical marijuana. Radio. Radio. Show. The medical marijuana.
Well, thank you very much, Corinne from Wake and Bake, the cookbook. Go to her website and go to Facebook for that free recipe for snickerdoodles. We'll be back next Friday night on the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network at what time? It's going to be 9 p.m. Pacific time, which is when on the East Coast is 12 p.m. Do the math in between. We'll be back again next Saturday at 6 Pacific time right here on the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. I want to thank my two radio mentors, both with the initials HS. Thank you for your inspiration. And feel well, everybody. We'll be back again to bring you the best information around on medical and recreational cannabis. And I do that on Wednesdays at CannawannaBuy.com. That's CannawannaBuy.com. And Wednesdays with Larawana, where I do about a 5-minute report on recreational and medical marijuana. So we'll see you Wednesday, and we'll see you next week. Feel well, everybody. And info at MMJRadio.com. You can write us, info at MMJRadio.com. Feel well, everybody. Good night. Thanks for listening.